Welcome to the Board Game Snobs podcast. Critically harsh reviews with a touch of class.
And go.
Aha! Welcome to the Board Game Snobs podcast. This is Jerry, the star of the show.
Did you forget?
What?
I just was wondering if you forgot. You paused as you said this is...
Paused for effect. That's something you should try.
Pause. Allow a breath?
Yes.
A moment of meditation in between the first three words and then the next three words.
Yes,
Okay.
that's how you do it. It's how professionals do it. I studied acting briefly. I was in a play once. Did you know?
Which one?
It was like
Well,
third
first
grade.
of all, did you finish introducing us? Sorry, I butted in.
This is Jerry, the star of the show. With us is Gabi, and as always, our third wheel, Enrique. Say hello, Enrique.
Sorry, I was just pouring myself some Dr. Pepper, but hi, everyone.
Now, for those of you that can't see Enrique, there's something very different. Enrique, have you clipped your toenails recently? Do you clip them with clippers, or do you chew them off as you do your fingernails?
Oh, you gotta chew them off. It's an organic way of doing it. Which
Clearly.
is important. Yeah.
Save the environment.
That's right. Just do everything, real homegrown. Like you home grow the chicken nuggets and you home grow your toenails and then you bite them off yourself, homegrown, with your homegrown teeth.
Homegrown, better than ingrown when it comes to toenails.
Or inbred. Get it? Inbred?
Inbred toenails? What does that mean, Jerry?
You know what's good inbred?
Toenails?
No.
No, that's clearly
Don't
wrong.
eat. Okay, just to clarify, I might be chewing my toenails, but I'm not swallowing them. I spit them out. I spit them real far.
Like sunflower seeds.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm talking about. Exactly.
The toenails are the toenails are the sunflower seed of the human body.
They
I got
are.
it.
That's what I've always said. I've been trying to get it to catch on. It's finally happening. Yes. So I have this thing. I've been trying try new phrases and see if you can get people to pick them up. You could call it maybe a hobby, actually.
This sounds flapping.
Sounds flat. That's okay. Is it your hobby too? Because I don't feel like I should have the same hobby as someone else.
Jerry tries to get flapping going, much like she tried to get fetch going in Clueless,
Right.
I'm not with it.
Right. I think it was Mean Girls for fetch.
Fetch, my bad. That shows you my age. My age is showing. Hey, 40's the new 20, right? Yeah.
That's what they say. That's what they say.
That's what they say.
I said it, and then they started saying it. See? Saying number 2.
That's one of those. Hashtag 40's the new 20.
Yeah,
according to Enrique.
Mean Girls was Lindsay Lohan. They tried to get her going, and it didn't happen.
Well, I think she had it, but I think she may have messed it up.
Where's she at now?
Good question.
Selling an NFT of herself.
Oh,
as an animal.
I just saw that. Like a rabbit or something?
Is it a fox? I don't actually know.
A foxy NFT of Lindsay Lohan?
I want it. You tell me you don't want that.
How much is it?
Probably a lot of money. Probably more than I can afford. As much money as you can fill a barn with. That's a saying.
You have many sayings I was unaware of.
Well, I created them all.
So, non-fungible tokens. Enrique's into non-fungible tokens. Very interesting. Is there one that...
He thinks they're reclaimable at Chuck E. Cheese.
They aren't?
I think that the fact that NFTs are becoming a thing is scary, because doesn't that mean that there will be certain visuals that are commonly, used to be like public domain that now can be copyrighted, and now we have to, we could lose Cthulhu and there wouldn't be 18 Cthulhu games coming out if somebody NFTs that. Is that the idea?
Is that
I don't
so bad?
understand. I don't really like it.
Do we need more Cthulhu? Look, I don't understand how it all works.
So Enrique is into NFTs. So is that your new hobby? And if so, good on you. Even though I hear it's bad for the environment, reasons I don't understand. But that's
don't
what I hear.
understand either, but I have been told it's bad for the environment, but I don't understand. Well, look, it's a toss-up between the NFTs, which I'm curious about. I'm dabbling. I'm perhaps hobby adjacent to, and also Sanes. Hobby adjacent is a hobby where you're almost into, but not.
If they could capture animated GIFs of some of your sayings, like enough to fill up a barn, and just animate that into a GIF, that's an NFT, right? NFTs are all animated, aren't they?
I don't know.
I don't think they're static. I think it's like this artistic drawing of something. So enough to fill up a barn, hashtag it, put it on a TV in your room, animate it, NFT. If you want this, $100,000.
I could get $100,000 for that?
I think so.
Yes, NFTs are my new hobby.
No more working for your father. You don't have to cut the sleeves off your shirt. You can just simply buy sleeveless shirts.
Buy a sleeveless shirt.
Chicken nugs. Imagine all the nugs you could get.
So many nugs with $100,000. So many freezers. I could buy freezers and fill them with nugs.
like that barn you're supposedly filling.
A whole barn
with
full of nugs.
Well, Enrique, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for having me on.
But we got to let you go.
Yeah, my Dr. Pepper is empty now, so I got to go get
It's flat.
One.
It's flat now.
I hate it when that happens.
So, Enrique, thanks for coming on because we have a very special guest. Jerry, would you like to introduce?
Yes, Paula Deming is on this podcast with us. I don't know why the dramatic pauses aren't working.
Your words are very canted.
I'm trying to be more dramatic in my pauses. I didn't know how to do the Paula Deming to be the. I should have done that. Let's cut this.
Stop.
We do the announcer, the radio thing. Like, Paula Deming. No, that sounds like a.
Not like SNL. And now, Paula Deming.
She comes walking out, does a monologue. Let's just do that. Paula, do a monologue.
Hi, what's the topic of my monologue? So I got this mug. You know mugs, right? You all have mugs.
I'm familiar.
And this mug has potions on it. And so this is what I think is cute to drink out of whenever I'm like on the internet playing games. Like I should drink out of my potion mug because I seem to be convinced that I need to represent like my nerdiness publicly. It's like part of my brand. But do you think anyone even notices that these are potions? Like I don't actually know how effective this is.
They look like somewhat filled bottles of colored liquids.
It's not effective.
Potions.
They're very. I thought they were pineapples when you first picked up the mug.
Well, see how they go from they change. Now, no one listening to this podcast can see this right now, but they change from colors like a rainbow gradient of potions.
You know what gives away a potion? The cork in the top.
Oh yeah, these do all have corks.
They all have corks. Just saying.
Sure do.
Notice that on the next potion you brew up. Notice the cork.
It's nice that Paula could come on to replace Enrique for us.
Paula, welcome to your third podcast.
Thank you.
You have Death by Monsters, you have Things Get Broken, and now, unbeknownst to you, the third member of Board Game Snobs.
Yeah, we've done several interviews so far. It's between you, the chief epidemiologist of Fresno County, and an art history professor. We had what's the thin dark-headed guy? What's his name? The British guy.
That could be so many.
Oh, Matthew.
So many people.
Matthew Jude. Matthew Jude come on. About halfway through, he started crying and talking about his loneliness. And you're close with Matthew Jude. You do a podcast with him, right?
I do 2 podcasts with him and a bunch of board game streams, and we make videos for Watch It Play. Basically, almost everything professional I do involves Matthew Jude in some way, yes.
So how does it feel? Me and you are in the same boat because we are both the talented side of a 2-party system.
Right.
Does your back hurt from carrying Matthew Jude?
I will say no, and here's why. Because it's great to have someone around who's always making you feel like you're the big fish in the small pond. You know what I mean? So it's a real boost for me in that way.
I've listened to Death by Monsters, and I tend to get into this. It just hits me, and I'll get caught up on several episodes. And it's very apparent that Matthew does a lot of research for Death by Monsters.
Yes, I was like that. Matthew actually carries the show.
He basically presents information to you, and you have to respond to it. So it's like he's trying to tell this story.
Trying is the keyword, I think.
Yes, and it's you and
Nick.
I don't know what the other guy is. Is that Nick? Okay.
Nick Murphy.
So he's the other brother. He's the other brother from the Murphy.
The Murphy mother.
I might get Mike. We might see if Mike wants to be the new Enrique.
You should give Mike a whirl. I think you might enjoy having Mike on. Mm-hmm.
So as getting back to Matthew Jude, why do you think that he will die alone?
Well, I don't think he will.
Oh, you don't? Oh, well, good. I've been trying.
Someone has to have optimism for that boy, and it's me. I have optimism for him. He's one of my favorite people, so surely he will not die alone. If
you had to, let's say, take a moment and pitch Matthew Jude, like this is why everybody, all the ladies should be, all the single ladies, Beyonce should be ready should be watching it played. You know what I mean? They should be hitting up. Oh. What is his most endearing qualities besides his hats?
His sense of humor. He's very witty. He's very kind and thoughtful, which is a thing everyone likes. He's very encouraging, and he's very smart and incredibly hardworking. Who doesn't want that in a partner?
He needs to alpha male it up.
No.
Start wearing those affliction shirts.
No, please, no. Matthew, if you're listening, don't do any of these things. No.
I'm going to send him a Budweiser ball cap, and if he would wear that, a sleeveless shirt, start some skull, he could come back to Tennessee over here, or at least South Carolina.
Actually, I think he would probably wear all those things.
A 5 o'clock shadow. That's what he's missing.
He's got it. Well, enough about Matthew Jude.
I have a little bit of banter, Jerry.
Oh, banter. Well, I'm talking to our guest.
Because we haven't had any yet.
Oh. So this is the all banter podcast that might mention. We just random, like at the very end of the show, we just yell "Settlers of Catan," and that makes it a board game podcast. Okay, so according to bestlifeonline.com, before rap battles, there was, I believe this term is flighting, a trading of insults that was popular from the 5th to the 16th centuries in England and Scotland. As Atlas Obscura describes it, participants employed the timeless tools of provocation and perversion, as well as satire, rhetoric, and early bathroom humor to publicly trounce opponents.
Bathroom humor.
Early bathroom, is early bathroom humor different than late bathroom humor?
How different is a scatological based joke? Just because time has passed, there's no.
It's just a fart sound. Even society's elite would join in these battle of wits. And so I clicked a link in Wikipedia. And here it gave me a few of these. One is from something called Lokasenna in Old Norse, which basically it's the poem of a flight in between the gods and Loki.
Okay.
So I don't know who's quoted here, but here is an ancient rap battle. I will no longer keep it secret. It was with thy sister thou hadst such a son, hardly worse than thyself.
Ooh, burn.
I wrote one of these myself.
Wait a minute.
Just saying.
Wait a minute. Who are you rap battling against?
To someone in the 15th century. Okay. So first of all, I need to know, can y'all hear this? Because I need y'all to be able to hear this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I'm fixing to do a ancient rap battle, okay?
So ready.
Yeah.
Okay, make sure. Oh, yeah, I'm feeling it.
Another one.
Here we go. Your mother is a serving wench, no shillings to her name. As I lay with her last night, I got syphilis in my brain. Your armor's weak, your lance is small, if thou know what I mean. Better put some mud on that burn before it turns to gangrene.
That's the crowd, like, being like, what? Yeah.
I got you. See, I went shillings. That implies it's old. Syphilis. Syphilis is timeless, really.
Yeah.
Everyone's had syphilis from the early days to now. Mud on that burn. Apparently that was an old ancient remedy. And gangrene. Again, timeless reference. I put a lot of effort into this.
I'm
just saying.
very pleased with this. I'm fine with you. I'm a little bit shocked. I knew you had something up your sleeve when I saw you had like notes. You look like a newscaster there.
This just in.
Yeah, so I thought yeah, okay.
Thy mother has gangrene. Also.
You got more banter.
Also.
Holy cow.
No, just facts. Just random facts. We like to give random facts on this. But this is an educational podcast, Paula.
I'm here for it. I'm ready to learn. Learn something new every day. And I'm ready for this to be the thing.
Lemurs get high on bugs.
What?
Lemurs get high on bugs. That might sound like a weird rock album title. That's not. This is Best Life Online, not me. Lemurs get high on bugs? No, that's not your best work on Best Life. Says in the jungles of Madagascar, lemurs get a buzz by chomping down on a particular species of millipede that causes toxins to release, leading them to salivate and appear intoxicated. So this is my question. It says they appear intoxicated, but they don't know they're intoxicated. I oftentimes appear intoxicated, but I'm not necessarily intoxicated.
Do they go out and do DUI checks on these lemurs?
Make them walk a straight line, put their fingers on their noses.
I don't think so.
That would be cute, though. Can you imagine a lemur touching its nose like that? That's cute.
I didn't see that in the Madagascar cartoons anywhere.
There was that dancing, though, and that could have been drug-fueled.
Maybe they were DreamWorks edited out where they were eating the millipedes, getting high. Then they started getting crunk.
Then they like to move it.
Yeah.
They just needed that social lubrication. They're normally way too nervous.
Social
to dance
lubrication.
Like that in public. Yeah.
Are you into social lubrication, Paula?
Define like into. Like I don't think I have a problem.
Not
Phrasing.
Are you in it?
Okay.
Do you drink?
I do drink. Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
I like wine a lot.
I said that's good. I don't mean that's good. Like if that's your choice. Yeah. We drink.
Yeah, I like wine.
Jerry, he's like, we tend to get nervous before some podcasts, so we do imbibe every now and then. And it's like someone such as yourself, you're an icon in the board gaming industry at this point. You're an icon, Paula.
That's kind.
Just
I refuse
accept
to
it.
That's true, but that's a nice thing. That's an incredibly flattering thing to say.
Well, that's why I said it. You have to accept it. But yeah, so we're like, what are we going to say? What are we going to talk about? So this is something I had. Let me consult my notes here. This is something else I was wondering about.
Okay.
So, if I had only organized better, I got a Turkish man that went missing and then ended up joining his own search party for his own self. And this was, I said, a search party for a missing Turkish man ended after one of the volunteers realized they were in fact the missing person, according to reports.
You're looking for me?
They're shouting for him. His name was let's see, what was his name here? Oh, I can't remember his name. Mutlu. This is in Turkey, so I don't know exact pronunciation. Beyhan Mutlu. So they're like shouting for Mutlu, and he's like, "Wait, that's me." True story.
That's
at least according to Vice.com.
bonkers to me.
But back to you, Paula.
I like the idea that this person joined a search party before they even knew who was being looked for. Like, that's compassion. That's a good member of society.
He's willing to help. It said a woman went missing in 2012 in Iceland and was found safe by herself after joining her missing persons search and rescue party, according to CBS. The woman broke off from her tour group and changed clothes. When she returned to her tour group, no one recognized her. Thus, they began searching for her, unbeknownst she was there all along. The woman, not recognizing her own description, joined in until authorities realized the woman was safe.
That's not very good, like, self-awareness. You don't recognize your own description.
I was thinking about, was it Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade where they thought he had went off the edge of the cliff and then he climbs back up and he's looking over the edge of the cliff like, what happened? Who y'all looking for? And old Pops Sean Connery was so glad to see him. Jerry, I'm bogarting the conversation here.
That's
Feel free
fine.
to butt in.
I'm lost without you.
Okay.
I didn't know I think everybody kind of knows Paula Deming, but I think it would be nice to kind of put her CV out there a little bit. Paula's actually a famous person, not just in board gaming, but also in the realm of acting.
I do some acting. Am I famous for it? I don't know if I'd go that far. I did get recognized once at an improv show, but that was specifically because they happened to watch Things Get Dicey. So, yeah, but I'm an actor. I live in LA. I've done a little bit of television work. I'm supposedly shooting a movie. It keeps pushing. It's one of those things where it's like they keep rescheduling it, so I'm not counting it as a real thing until we're doing it.
Wow.
That's a small part in an independent film. So let me lower expectations all along the way.
It's Robert with his iPhone, isn't it?
But yeah, I've done a ton of theater and then started making board game sketch comedy and putting it on YouTube. And that's the first time anyone actually cared what I was acting in, actually. So it's been validating.
On your website, it says was it the UCB?
Mm-hmm.
Was that what you went to? Okay.
Yeah, I did my improv training through UCB, which is Upright Citizens Brigade. I went through their core program there and did a couple of their advanced classes. But yeah.
Did you go through with anyone that we might know today?
A girl who was on SNL last season and just got let go or left or is not on SNL this season, actually, yes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know anything other than the deadline, the article I read about it.
I listened to like I mentioned this in our email. I listen to Comedy Bang Bang on a regular basis, and it's like all improv, and it's my favorite form of comedy. Jerry's not a fan of improv.
No, it's not that. I mean, I'm a fan of good improv.
How do you feel about short form versus long form, Jerry?
I like short form improv. I enjoyed there being skits. I've recently started a podcast. I've started listening to a podcast. Let me rephrase that. That is a like a Star Trek parody. That Mission to Zix.
Okay,
I think it's called.
I think I've heard of that actually. Yeah,
it is. I expected nothing from it, and I think that's since kept my expectations so low. It is amazing at how funny it is, and that type of
Is it similar to our show?
Yes, actually, very much so.
Oh, okay.
Very much so. But at the same time, with improv and acting, and this is kind of so you going through the Upright Citizens Brigade. What motivated you to do that? Why did you want to become an actor, or was that something that you'd always just dreamed of doing, or is that something you just fell into?
Yeah, no, I always dreamed of doing acting. I was a highly imaginative child. I played a lot of pretend, far past the age that it would have been considered socially acceptable to be playing pretend. And I loved being in plays. There's just something about getting to experience stories that weren't mine that I have always been drawn to. And it wasn't until I was actually in college that I was like, oh, I think I might need to pursue this professionally. Because I went to school at Appalachian State University, which is not known for its theater program. And I was going there for advertising is what I thought I would get my degree in. I didn't get my degree in that, but and then I did, just for fun, freshman year of college, I was like, I'll audition for this set of plays that only freshmen can audition for. And that'll probably be the last time I do theater. I'm going to I need a steady life. I can't do this actor thing. I need to know what my job's going to be, all this stuff. But then I did this play And I was like, oh, actually, I don't think I can just stop doing this. I love it so much. And then like my sophomore year of college, I like had to admit to myself that if I'm not acting or being creative in that kind of performance kind of way, I'm not happy. I'm kind of a miserable person to be around. And so I sort of had to like admit it to myself. And I didn't get my degree in theater. I got it in broadcasting. But I took all the theater classes I could. I did all the stuff. I graduated. I started auditioning for plays and doing a lot of theater in Charlotte, which is where I grew up. And then decided I really wanted to try and pursue it professionally, because if I didn't try, I would never know if it was a thing I could make money off of. You know, I don't want to do anything else. I just want to be performing. I want to be acting. And so then I decided I would move to Los Angeles, having never been here before, ever. So I packed up my car and drove across the country and rolled up into LA. I knew someone out here, so I slept on their couch for a couple weeks and have just been out here pursuing that as much as I can. Everyone's journey is different. But yeah, I don't know. It took me a long time to like accept that I wouldn't be happy without it in my life. There's just something about pretending to be other people and like performing for an audience, like storytelling, that just like, this sounds so cheesy, but like fuels me. So
what's your dream role?
That's a tough question. I would love to be in a Western, as like a Calamity Jane type or something like that. Or like, I love Shakespeare. If I could just make a living, like if I could support myself just doing Shakespeare, I would do that. I don't think anyone can really support themselves just doing Shakespeare.
You do much like play stuff, like on stage theater stuff?
I do a lot of theater. I mean, obviously not in the last like 2 years, because we haven't been allowed to gather in that way. But yeah, I've done a ton of theater, and then some television as well. But yeah, lots and lots of theater. And I love comedy, obviously, or maybe not obviously, but I love comedy. So anything that like dream role wise, like anything that you could see maybe like Amy Adams doing, I would love to be doing, basically.
I like your style of comedy. It's kind of like, it's very, tongue in cheek, kind of wink at the camera. And the one you did with it wasn't your last video. I think it was the one before last, where you had the like vest on.
Oh yeah.
With all the gaming stuff.
The gamer tech.
And then like you're bleeding out your eyes with like that little twist there. Like that was good. That was good.
Thanks. I like when it gets a bit weird.
Right.
That's not everyone's jam, but yeah, that was the idea that came up. My partner who helps me with the videos actually came up with that sketch, and then at the end he was like, what if, because it's like a ritual sacrifice like to Cthulhu, what if just at the end you're like bleeding from the eyes? Is that too much? And I was like, no, I love it. Let's do it.
It's good stuff.
It's like
So comedy writing. So this is something, and I don't know that Jerry may not know this.
I know it.
But I've like started writing because like I enjoy comedy, and I've been listening to all these podcasts, and they're like, you just got to write, you just got to write, you just got to write. So I've like started writing. I'm like, how? Because to me, it's impressive how these stand-up comics come up with their stuff. Like, how in the world do they? And they're like, you just got to write. You just got to like nonstop write. Now, of course, I don't have much time. I'm a truck driver in my normal life, and that's 8 to 12 hours a day. Then I come home and generally sit in my chair, drink some alcohol, and watch TV. That's what I do. Then rinse, dry, repeat. Sadly, that's my life. I have a sad life. Every now and then, once a month, we get together and record podcasts and play games. Jerry let me down today, but that's okay. I understand, Jerry. You were busy.
Yeah, people were dying. People literally were dying. I couldn't come over. People were dying.
So to explain to Paul, did I explain to Paula that he's
yes.
Over hospice now? Okay, but so I've just started writing, and I'm trying to look for my notebook. I think I moved it so that I actually couldn't get it to embarrass myself in front of you. But I was like, just write down.
Don't let that stop you.
Where's it at? But, and so I'm like, I got a few jokes down. I can't remember. So I read them to my wife, but that doesn't count because she laughs at her brothers as well. And they have terrible senses of humor.
Your brother-in-law is awful. I'm just going to go out on the record there. So I'm very, so
I hope he
for me,
to this podcast.
it's okay.
Oh, okay.
So I was curious with your skits and things get dicey, or even if you want to go in to watch the played, but with things get dicey, do you do the writing? You said you're a partner. Do y'all collaborate and write it all down? And how does that work?
Yeah, so I do most of the writing. I write basically all of the sketches. Not always. I've had a couple of friends who've written them before that we've made, and occasionally my partner will have an idea and write one out, which is nice because then I don't have to do that work. And that's the Gamertag one is an example of he had that idea, and so he wrote it. But for the most part, I will write them, but then I also, show them to my partner. I'll show them to friends. I'll show them like to Matthew and be like, hey, here's what I'm trying to get across. Here's the joke. Like, is this working? Is it not working? Like, is the joke coming across? Is there a better joke here? Like, what are your thoughts? And really getting ideas from other people on what's working or not working, and then going back through and doing revisions is usually how it works. Sometimes I will write a sketch, and then when we go to shoot it, we will fully and completely rewrite it, which is fun. There's an episode we did called The Teach. It's like different styles of teaching the game, and I had a script written, and we sat down to shoot it, and my partner was like, I think we should change all of this. And then we got angry at each other. But then we rewrote the script. And it was a lot better. So that happens sometimes. Yeah. Okay.
Jerry, any questions?
I have tons of questions. I was just waiting for your deep insight into whatever.
No, well, okay. So help me out.
I'll help you.
Well, not you, Paula. So I'm going to regress. So first of all, again, thank you for coming on the show. I was unsure of the best way. I went back to the beginning. I was unsure of the best way to reach out because we're a nobody podcast. You're quite well known. And so I'm like, and I asked some friends, I was like, do I just email or do I slide into the DMs? What is the best way to okay. And I know you're busy. You're like super freaking busy.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
How many offers? And then I was listening to you on Meet a Peloton. You're doing your Paragons of Change. Mm-hmm. I too was a Paragon of Change. Unfortunately, I've changed exactly back. I'm back where I started. So just ignore that whole episode. But you were talking about how and then even on your sporadically board, you're like, I'm trying to figure out when to I need to say no to some stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought we might be one of those things you said no to.
I just pushed you off into the distance for a while. I went, well, I can't this month. How about next month? And then that month came up and I went, I am so sorry. I cannot do this. I know we scheduled it, but we've got to reschedule. I think that happened.
Perfectly fine. Perfectly fine, Miss Deming. When can you do it? We are at your disposal. So, how many offers do you get to do podcast, and have you said no to any so far?
I get reached out to a fair amount to be in other people's things. I say yes to a lot of them. A lot of them I also I will push off. I'm like, I can't. The way I've kind of compromised with myself a little is feeling better about saying I would love to do this, but it's gonna have to be on my schedule because of this, and this. So if you're cool with waiting until I can do this 3 months from now, then great, let's do it. There's other things that I've said no to. So I get reached out to a lot about publishers wanting, videos made or things like that or sometimes events I've been asked to, streams I've been asked to be on that aren't necessarily publishers. They could be other content creators that I have gotten better at recognizing that I don't have time. The problem is I want to do all the things. I want to do them all. They seem really fun. But I also want to, like, see my partner sometimes or play a game, like have time to actually play a game. And if I say yes to everything, I don't have that time. So I'm trying to be better about, I'm still trying to be better about saying no, but I think I am. Because there have been events and things that I'd be like, I cannot do this, but thank you. Or again, just like trying to politely ask someone to wait. I can't, it's like, when you pray, this is going to sound terrible. When you pray and they say, God gives you multiple answers. Yes, no, or not right now. And sometimes I'm like, God.
Paula Deming declares herself God. Just saying.
Yep. Quote me on that. That's a great soundbite.
You should put that on a mug. Sometimes I'm like God.
I did, and it's not a misquote. It's just incomplete.
Do you do any background, like, who are these board game snobs? I better check them out, make sure they're not.
Well, I was aware. It does help if I'm already aware with whoever is reaching out. And you aren't just Nobody podcast. I had heard of Board Game Snobs even before Matthew was on your podcast.
Oh, really? Go on.
Yeah. So, like, you exist within I was like, oh, yeah, I know Board Game Snobs. So you weren't like a complete mystery coming out of nowhere.
Okay, good. We're out there, Jerry. That's good.
Oh, I'm super excited. I find that the media, the board game, maybe Paula knows this. Paula knows this. So, like, when you, and I can only imagine that this is way worse in your case because you do so much with Twitch and then having to be on all 3 of 4 or 5, however many podcasts that Matthew Jude has. Yeah. That at some point in time you get tired of media content. Like you're in it, so you don't listen to it.
Yes, that's true.
And
that is true.
That just makes you. It's like I remember before we started this podcast, there were several podcasts that I listened to and enjoyed, and then the more we've done this, the less and less I listen to, and it takes you away from the hobby a little bit because you are now not so much doing the podcast as a job, but you're so inundated with talking about something that sometimes you just want to be left alone. You don't want to hear about board games anymore. And I think that really does take away from the other media that's out there. You really have to force yourself to listen to something else that's not yourself. If you're a narcissist like me, I listen to my own podcast just because I like the sound of my voice. But yeah, it's terrible. Do you find that in acting, and especially I would assume in the theater, that you have to get into the character? Like you have to have an understanding of what it is that you're trying to portray. How do you go about getting into character?
For acting in general? First of all, I'll say I 100% relate to what you're saying about when you're making content, it can be harder to then consume the other content that's out there. Even though you're like, these are like my peers, I should know what they're all doing. I'm interacting with these people on the internet. I should really like know what they're up to. But sometimes it is like, I don't even have time to play board games because I'm making a video about board games, like much less watching other people's video about board games. So I can relate to that. Now to your actual question that you actually asked me about and are actually interested in. I'm such a nerd. So I do a lot of like homework to get into a character. I spend a lot of time thinking about like their history, how they like grew up, what their relationships are. I like, especially if it's a project that takes place in a different time period, I'll look up a ton of stuff about the time period. I like to like Google image search like pictures and images, things that make me think of like where they live, how they feel, who are the people in their lives. And I'll like make little like mini scrapbooks of those things. And I write out a ton of background information for my characters in the hope that, and every actor does this differently, but I like to do that. And then hopefully you've done that work so that when you're actually playing the character, you don't need to be actively thinking about it because you already thought about it. And hopefully it's kind of like in there in your brain somewhere subconsciously. And then sometimes I'll like make playlists of songs like, okay, this character is feeling this way in this moment. So before I do this scene, I have a playlist of songs that I think kind of relate to what this character is feeling to try and like get in the mood of that moment. And then I think very much about like I think the most important part of acting is what are you trying to do in the scene? What is your character trying to accomplish? How are they trying to change the other people in the scene or the situation around them? Because if you aren't trying to affect anyone, then what's the point of the scene? Like it was written, you are trying to do something. You're trying to change someone. And you, as the actor, need to be actively working toward that because that's what makes your scene actually interesting to watch. And it's what makes, I think, your performance a lot more genuine because you have a true purpose for everything you're saying if you're trying to have a specific effect on the other person in the scene with you. So I spend a lot of time trying to think about, like, what am I trying to do to the other people in the scene? And if you can focus on that, then hopefully that makes your performance genuine. Now, when it comes to Things Get Dicey, I'm mostly acting by myself, and a lot of times I've written the script 2 days before, and I'm also producing them, and usually the last thing I do for Things Get Dicey is, like, learn my own lines. So that kind of work doesn't tend to happen for my sketch comedy, but for my other stuff it does.
Yeah, it works. Get mildly wine drunk and start the camera. It works just fine.
Like, roll it.
So out of all your acting that you've done, is there a particular role that you feel the most proud of? Like, what was your shining moment if you had to pick one?
Yeah, a couple things come to mind. I'll say, okay, I played the role of Sylvia in the play Sylvia. The role originated on Broadway, I guess. It's not a musical. Maybe it's off Broadway. Sarah Jessica Parker played it in the original version of the play. But I just did a local production of it here just outside of LA. And Sylvia, the character, is a dog played by a person. And you kind of see, like, you hear her inner thoughts and things as she's, like, adopted by this couple and kind of the conflict that bringing home a dog introduces to the relationship with this couple. And I think I'm really proud of that. One, I think my energy as a person is very dog-like, so it was a very natural fit for me. And two, like, it really was a role where you got to do a little bit of everything. I got to be very silly in it because I'm playing a dog. I also got to be very, like, dramatic and emotional because there's this scene where they're maybe going to, like, give the dog away, and there's this, like, the dog gives this, like, monologue about not wanting to be given away. It's very emotional, like, but I got to do a little bit of everything. And I think I got, like, a good review for it, and it was fun, and I think I'm pretty proud of that. It was probably, like, one of the roles I've played that I was, like, the most naturally right for.
When you act, like, I love movies and actors, and that's a stupid thing to say. I love movies. When you act, how do you do a scene and not feel or act like you're acting? Like, that's so in the head. Or is it what you're saying? Like, you have to just get into this mindset of I'm this person. Like, cause like, well, you know, people get together and we're like, all right, we're going to print out this screenplay and you do this and you do that. And we're going to pretend like we're actors. And it's terribly cheesy. Like, we're like, oh, and the way you talk changes. Not for people that are just trying to, like, simulate a scene. Is that what, have you taken any acting classes? Is that what they train you to do? Or is that, how do you do that?
Yeah, I've taken a ton of acting classes. And so I think every actor is chasing that rush of being fully, like, lost in the moment of what's happening and not thinking about what's my next line. Oh, people are watching me because this is a performance. You, like, almost convince yourself that it's real for a minute. And that can happen. And it's, like, exhilarating actually when it does. But I think it's about preparation. And not every actor feels this way because, I don't know, there's stories of like, who is it, Marlon Brando, who's like, I refuse to even speak the words out loud before I'm on camera because they need to be natural. I think that, what's the rating of this podcast? Can I say?
We keep it family, but I can put some beeps in there if you need to.
That's a BS is what that's like, I personally think that's, you need to have some preparation, I think. So to me, it's like knowing the reason that maybe just printing out a script and reading it for fun, just off the cuff, that's never going to be as like realistic or genuine because you're like seeing the words for the first time. You're saying them out loud for the first time. You haven't thought about like, what's the purpose of the scene? What's the why is my character saying this line? Because you're just saying them. But if you spent the time to really think like, what do I want in this scene? What do I want out of this interaction? Once you figure that out, you can figure out why you're saying all your lines, and then you'll know naturally how to say them without thinking of how to say them. Because you're not saying them, you're not thinking, I should say it this way. You're thinking, these are the words I'm using to try and get something from someone. And then it is genuine because you are actually trying to do something with those words. And I think and knowing the lines so well that you're not wondering what they are helps a lot too, because then you can not think about them and then they can kind of come out organically. It's kind of a magical process, actually, now that I think about it.
You're impressing yourself.
I'm like, wow, I haven't done, again, the pandemic has been crazy and I have not done acting like that since the pandemic started, and this conversation's making me miss it a lot. Like I gotta get cast in a play.
So I would just think like, even with like a single line, like where are the, like someone asks you, where are the peanuts? And your line is, the peanuts are over there. Like, oh yeah,
that's the hardest. One-line auditions, like one-line roles, I think are the hardest because you don't have anything else to support you in that. There's no other lines to figure out what's going on. You have to, it's awful. It's awful, one-word lines. Or things like over there or like, what? Like, how do you say that in a way that
the way you
anything?
said what was just, yeah. That's fascinating.
But that can be those one-line roles can be such a dramatic, it can add so much to the movie. I often will watch and I blame Amazon Prime for this, where they have all the information off to the sidebar about what's going on. That just bothers me to pieces.
Do you watch with X-Ray, where it tells you what the actors have also been in?
Right. And so, unfortunately, watching Saving Private Ryan, there is a scene where about halfway through the film, they think they have found Private Ryan, and it's not. It's the wrong guy, and this poor guy gets called over. And Tom Hanks tells him, oh, yeah, your brothers are dead and you're coming home with us. And the guy just starts bawling before they realize this is the wrong guy. Yeah. So this poor actor got called over and was told, basically, we just need you to stare at Tom Hanks. And then when he tells you this, we need you to start sobbing uncontrollably. I'm watching this film again and I realize that's Nathan Fillion. It's a young Nathan Fillion who gets called over, and his one moment of fame in this iconic movie was break down and start crying, and he nails it, and then he goes away like it's it. That was his little 10 seconds on the show. But I think I think you make a point there about, and I think that kind of,
I made a point.
Yeah, it answers to what Gabi I think was getting at, because Gabi, of course, when he thinks of acting, he thinks as faking it. And I think that's...
No, I think of Vin Diesel in Fast and Furious. Paula, do you like the Fast and Furious movies?
I've only seen the first one, and it's been since it was in the theaters. So it's been a while. I don't know how I feel about it.
Okay.
I can tell you how she feels about it. She thinks it's trash, as all people who enjoy acting thinks it's trash.
You need to do some research. Vin will make you cry. Go ahead, Jerry.
Vin doesn't make... Vin Diesel was also...
Vin Diesel was in Saving Private Ryan.
And thank God he got shot right away.
How dare you? Did he say, this bullet can't kill me because I've got family?
No, he was trying to save a family and got killed. That's what happened.
He needed some Nas.
In acting, I think the regular person thinks that acting is just faking it. And obviously when somebody's trying to portray something, you get nervous and you feel... I won't say anything. You feel like you're childish, like you're stupid. You feel embarrassed because you're trying to present something, and that's why I think
pretend.
It holds a lot of people back. But what you were saying about trying to affect the scene or affect a person, really, that's what I would assume, and I've never acted, but that's in my mind is what acting is about. It's trying to bring something out either from the person that you're acting with or the audience. You're trying to display some sort of passion or idea and bring it across on the screen. And I think that's lost on some modern movies because it's a lot of flash and not a lot of acting. But then there are these films. I'm thinking of like I talked about it, the assassination of Jesse James. That's such a long film, and not a lot happens in it. But the acting in it is just spot on. Every little scene, the way it's portrayed, there's something about it that's mesmerizing. And it's because all these actors are portraying, you can kind of feel how they're feeling. And when you see that on screen, and even so, if you go to any type of Broadway plays, I love musicals, and seeing somebody really put on a show.
Too.
What's your favorite musical?
I love like The Last 5 Years and Les Mis and
Les Mis is my favorite.
So good.
I have issues with the Hugh Jackman one. I don't know if I like it or if I hate it. I can't bring my I really, really like it. And then when I think about it, I come to the conclusion that I don't like it because of the way that the singing in it is just not as great as it should be from a technical standpoint. But I think it's just because I like Anne Hathaway. That might be.
I'm a West Side Story guy.
You're what?
I'm a West Side Story guy. The Sharks and the Jets.
Yeah.
The Jets. Yeah. Spielberg's redoing it, Jerry. Did you know that?
I heard. He's also something else is getting redone. I was looking at.
They need to redo Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and make it slightly less problematic.
That'd be
it's been a while since I've seen it.
It is fun. I watched it. I've seen it multiple times. I watched it again not that long ago.
Really? Okay. I haven't seen it since I was probably about 14. I just remember them all dancing inside the house or whatever they were building their house, and they're all just dancing
like
on
the... That's a great, It's just about like these brothers who like kidnap all these women, are like, you're going to marry us. And the women are like, no, we aren't.
Oh, okay.
But then the men actually like fall in love and like change. It's not that bad. It's like slightly of its time, but it's actually not that bad. But it's good. It's great. It's
mild sex trafficking. It's okay.
Some mild, yeah.
My favorite, one of my only Broadway experience in 2005, we went to New York City and we watched Rosie O'Donnell and I forget his name. David! Independence Day guy. What's his name? David!
Oh, I know who you're talking about. The dude.
He talks like this. Anyway, it's Rosie O'Donnell and this other guy. Harvey Firestein.
Copy. Got it. Mm-hmm.
Rosie O'Donnell, Harvey Firestein are in Fiddler on the Roof.
Really?
And they were the two main leads. They were the couple.
Really? I love Fiddler on the Roof.
And I wasn't necessarily a fan of either of them at the time, but I was like, oh my God, that was an amazing play. Absolutely amazing. I love Fiddler on the Roof.
It's got a good movie adaptation too.
Yes, I grew up with my parents put that large laser disc into the player and we would watch Fiddler on the Roof. Mary Poppins is probably also one of my all-time favorites.
That's a good one. What did you think about the new Mary Poppins? Did you watch it?
I tried. It didn't do it for me.
I thought it like maintained the spirit of the original really well, but none of the songs were memorable. Like I came out of watching that movie and I couldn't tell you how any of the songs in it went. And that's kind of a problem.
I mean, it was Emily Blunt.
Mm-hmm.
I like absolutely fantastic. But I mean, you got supercalifragilistic, spoonful of sugar, chimney.
Yeah.
Like nothing like that was in the new movie. And today I never hear anybody, I loved Mary Poppins 2 version of this. I was like, no, it doesn't exist.
I did not like the new Cinderella. I didn't find the song.
The one with Camilla Cabello?
I wanted to. I wanted to.
Paige Sade said it was terrible.
Really?
I haven't watched it yet. The one that's just come out on like Amazon or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't watched it
wasn't.
yet.
I liked the one with Rose from Downton Abbey.
Yeah, that one was cute.
That one was good. But this new one, my goddaughter Sade, she's like, I started it and I couldn't finish it. It's pretty bad. Paula, you keep mentioning your partner. You are married, correct?
Yes, it's my husband.
Okay, your husband, and his name is?
His name is Lawson.
I know Lawson. I don't know him personally.
How do you know Lawson?
Because I do research.
What
Lawson's
research did you do?
Cinematographer, isn't he?
Yes, that's why Things Get Dicey looks good, because Lawson shoots it.
Okay.
You tell him congratulations for Ted Lasso. I have not watched one episode, but very nice.
I will.
Very
Now, he
nice.
didn't shoot Ted Lasso, but he does visual effects. He has a visual
Right.
effects company, and the visual effects company has done the VFX for Ted Lasso. They're very proud of that one.
I listened to
Very
him
nice.
describe how he shot, did the
Yeah.
visual effects for some stadium scene. I was like, oh, okay.
yeah.
And cinematography is, there's something about
Cinematography is,
yeah.
Thank
well,
you,
it's
Jerry.
like all my favorite films have the same cinematographer in it.
Who is it?
Who does it? It's Roger Deakins.
Roger Deakins. I was going to guess that.
So yes,
I wish
Roger
I had said
Deakins.
it before you did.
Yes,
We
Roger
met
Deakins.
him.
Oh man,
He came into the visual effects office once because they were working on something that he was shooting, or I don't know, and met him briefly. And by met him, I meant like I walked by an open doorway and he was there. He and Lawson, I think, spoke briefly. And then Lawson was like, that was Roger Deakins. I was like, okay.
it's interesting to have somebody who is so up on his game. Like that is undeniably the best of the best. And every show that I like, he's been the cinematographer for it.
Yeah.
And I think that's fascinating watching how that's done. Like how you get lost in seeing how they film things, especially like 1917, something like that. That's a big gimmick where it's all looks like one shot.
Yeah.
But just as a whole, how that's done. And that is a talent that
I've always been confused. So, like, does the director tell them what to shoot, or does the cinematographer recommend? Like, what's the difference between the director and the cinematographer?
he just hits clap. The director does that clapping thing. It says, go.
He doesn't tell them how to shoot the scene?
No.
So usually it kind of can depend on the project itself, but usually like the director of photography, the cinematographer, and the director work together to be like the director, one is in charge of telling the actors what to do, but also like the overall vision. So they might be like, I want this scene to feel really like dark and oppressive because of this thing. And so then the cinematographer would be like, okay, well, we can shoot it like this and maybe we'll get these kinds of shots. And they work together to set kind of that visual look. And sometimes some directors are more hands-on with like the kinds of shots that they want the cinematographer to get, and some aren't. It kind of depends. But yeah. And then the cinematographer a lot of times isn't the one working the camera either. They're the one telling the camera operators like what to do, and they're telling the people in charge of the lighting like how to light it, and they're in charge of all that.
That's when Christian Bale went off. Remember that? And he's like, oh, good for you. You remember that?
I remember
well,
that.
I'll defend him. Is that bad? I haven't heard the tape. I don't really know everything. But, like, if he was trying to do an emotional scene and there are people in his eye line, like, goofing around, that's really hard. Like, you're not respecting what I'm doing here. And it's my face on this project. If this scene goes poorly, no one's going to care that gaffer was a part of it because no one knows who you are. No one even knows what a gaffer is.
That's the guy that holds
You know?
the dude, the lights. Isn't it the grip guy, the grip and the gaffer?
Yeah, they have to do with lighting. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think it was like a lighting guy kept like walking around in the background and it was distracting him, and then he like went on a F-bomb
He probably
tirade.
shouldn't have lost his temper that way, but I do think like he's trying to do a job and it's hard. People should respect it.
Have you watched the YouTube videos of Kevin James being the sound guy, the gaffer?
No.
Oh, it's hilarious. It's basically.
So you think Kevin James is funny, Jerry?
No, I
'Cause
don't
you
like
chew
Kevin
me out
James
for
at all.
liking Kings of Queens.
Kevin James
King of
is one of the
Queens.
least funny people I know, but in this short,
He has the ability.
no,
be
he's not.
funny.
He's not funny. It's just him
admit it.
being in an awkward situation where he's like the boom mic handler, trying to hold the
Classic
mic.
Kevin.
Hold the mic for Daniel Day-Lewis, and he green screens himself into the shows. Yeah, it's hilarious. So we're an hour in. Are we going to talk about board games for a second?
Probably should, right?
Well, wait. Okay, sure, fine.
Aw,
What do you want
why
to
is
talk
there
about
more?
else? Is there something
No,
else you want to bring
let
up?
me check my sheet. Okay, I do have some.
Slap.com.
I have some. Let me see. I have many questions. Okay, this is a question I have for you. Do you go by Miss Deming or Mrs. Deming or Paula?
I go by Ms. Deming, so like the MS,
Ms.
as
Okay.
opposed to Mrs.
Is that an old timey thing?
Well, so Miss is for when you are unmarried, Mrs. is for when you're married, and a Ms. MS is kind of the one in the middle you could go by whether you're married or not married. And I just felt like when I got married, I changed my name. I did take my husband's last name, which he did not care about, which of course then I twisted into what you don't want me to have your last name. You listen to the words I am saying. Not the words you think you're hearing. And I went, I do not like that tone. No.
Can I ask you? You don't have to say, but what is your maiden name?
Oh, my maiden name is Schmidt.
Schmidt.
Paula Schmidt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So,
it's not bad, but I always knew I would probably change it.
Okay.
So
So I did mean to. Did I ask you how you met your husband?
not yet.
Okay.
But I'll tell you the reason I decided to go with Ms. And I will correct people if they put it wrong on forms, which I will do sometimes. It's because like men, what comes before their name, Mr., doesn't change whether they're married or single. And I just think it's antiquated for anyone to know my marital status based on what comes before my name. And I don't want, that's not necessary. It has nothing to do with my value as a person, whether I'm married or not. So that's why I don't go by Mrs.
Okay, got you.
So that's how I feel about that.
Duly noted. Proceed, Ms. Deming. How did you meet Lawson?
Yeah, so I was in a play written and directed by his best friend from college. And he, that man, Kevin, was like, oh, I'm going to have one of my friends come by and do some rehearsal photography. So kind of like take some pictures and stuff for the show. So that's how I met him. He was in the audience. Well, it was a very silly, campy comedy musical. So he saw me being absolutely ridiculous and took photos of it. And then our director, Kevin, introduced us after. He was just like, Lawson, this is Paula. Paula, this is Lawson. But he introduced us right after like our opening night performance, where I had a lot of post-show adrenaline. So I'm pretty sure it would be interesting to hear Lawson tell this story. I was like, hi, and like ran off and did something else. He was like, that's a weird person. So that's how we met. But then we just kind of started like talking. He friended me on Facebook and we just started talking and hit it off. And it took him like 2 whole months to finally ask me on a date.
Was it a cup of coffee or a real date?
It was a real date. No, he's good. So it took him a long time.
Coffee is a real date.
We did
No.
get coffee. but
Coffee's
there was
coffee.
more.
No, coffee's a real date.
Coffee's coffee. Coffee's not a real date. A real date is out to dinner, roses, wine.
No. You can plot murders over coffee.
So is that what you do on a date?
Well, it's least interesting. Like, have you never done that? Have you never been by
Plotted
a bank
murders?
and
No.
Oh, yeah. Have you never been by like a bank or something and thought to yourself, how would I rob it?
No, that's not normal. Thank
Thank you. No, that's not normal.
No, it's not. Are you sure?
I'm sure.
But you don't think about that. Like, how would I get out of these handcuffs?
Oh, I think about how would I get out of handcuffs? What would I do if someone attacked me? I think about that. But I'm a woman, so I feel like...
But you don't plot ahead and think, if I was going to do this highly illegal thing, how would I pull it off?
No, nobody does that, Jerry.
This is just me. We're going to have to delete all of this because I feel like I'm going to be hearing this in court at some point in time.
Admitted something here.
If someone comes up missing, now you're suspicious. I mean, I might okay, now if you go on a date, am I checking the exits to see where they're at? And in case somebody comes in, guns ablazing, I'm like, okay, superhero style, I got to like protect who I'm with and we jump out the exit? Well, yes, obviously I'm doing that.
No, you wouldn't do that because if it's coffee's just coffee. You're not actually dating them. So you just run for the door and leave them. Right?
But you just said, see, this is how contradictory you are. You just said coffee's a real date.
It is. I think it's a real date. I would protect my coffee date.
Okay, I guess a date is not dating. It's just a date. Dating is what? 2, 3 dates? What's dating? 2 dates?
3.
I think 3 with the expectation that there will be more. Now you're dating.
Expectation of more. I think that's the key.
That's it. Yeah. And so if you are just on a date, you do not have to protect that for a person from bodily harm if you're like
you just leave them in the dust like Costanza style. Fire, Costanza runs out of the building.
Yeah, like Die Hard level. Hans Gruber busts in and takes over the restaurant. You're not going to be walking barefooted through broken glass trying to take out Norwegian terrorists.
Probably not.
But 3 dates in, I'm all about it. Yeah, is that what you're saying?
Well, if there's the expectation of more beyond the 3rd date. And then, yes, I'm all about it.
There you go. So that's, I'm glad we got that settled, that I am apparently a sociopath.
So Lawson invited you to a date.
Yes, we got coffee first, and then we went to an art museum. We went to the Getty. It was lovely. And then we went and we got dinner near Santa Monica, and then we went down to the Santa Monica Pier and rode the Ferris wheel, and then he drove me home.
That's very nice.
It was a pretty good first date. The best first date I've ever had.
That's like you're mentioning this brings up another thing I had written down. The LA California lifestyle for people like me and Jerry that live in the armpit of America.
We just assume you're all actors, like you've all been in movies over there. If you're in LA, we expect to see you in a movie. There's
palm trees, the ocean, just that lifestyle. And you look at Instagram of people and they're like, just every post is like them. They're just laughing and smiling and drinking and palm tree. Is that really the lifestyle there?
Nah. I mean, I live in the valley, so I can't tell you the last time I saw the ocean.
And I hear that a lot. The valley. What is that?
So it's a part of town that you have to go up over like a hill. If you're going up the 405, you go up a hill and then back down into the valley, and you're in the valley.
The Californians, yes.
So, so yeah, it's a part of town. It's hotter there because it's in an actual, like, it's in the San Fernando Valley, so it is over like some.
So mountains, you got to cross over the mountains to see the beach.
Yeah, to get over to the west side where the beach is.
Is it cheaper to live in the valley?
Yes. And less so now than when I first moved out here, but yes, it's cheaper. Parking is way easier, which is important. Yeah. It's a little more like suburban feeling. Not really, but closer than other parts of town, which was big for me when I first moved out here. LA is very like, it's urban sprawl. So it's just like weird, yucky looking shopping centers mixed in with like weird looking neighborhoods. It's a very strange place, the structure of it. And it's so different. Where I grew up, you have like neighborhoods in this area. And there's yards and trees and stuff. And then you drive down the road a little ways and there's an actual shopping center. It's not like this weird intermingling of stuff. So I had to get used to that when I moved out here. But I also think there's this idea that LA and California is very like Rodeo Drive and Beverly Hills and the beach and the kind of way it's portrayed a lot on TV. But Los Angeles is
Instagram.
Really neat that it's, and on the gram. there's lots of different neighborhoods, and every neighborhood has its own like vibe. Like if you're a hipster, you go live in Los Feliz or Silver Lake. If you like the beach, you go. If you want more of like a party beach, you probably go to like Redondo Beach or maybe Venice Beach. But if you want like more of like a family-ish or a higher class beach, you're gonna go to Santa Monica. Or if you want to feel like you live, in the middle of a big city, maybe you live downtown. Like there are different areas, and if you can just find the neighborhood that feels right for you, I think anyone can fit in here.
Where's the redneck trailer park? Where's the redneck trailer park? Where can I shoot
Sun Valley or Panorama City, so not that far from me in the valley. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's a place for everyone here, but it's also really expensive. So like if you don't have to live here, why would you? Is kind of what I think.
You talking about just in the valley even?
Oh yeah, everywhere. I mean, housing it's stupid. Even like cheaper in the valley is still like 4 times what I'd be paying if I was still in North Carolina.
Or Texas. That's why Californians are all moving to Texas.
It's crazy. Yeah.
$1 million home in California is like
that's like a castle anywhere else.
Yes. Come to Texas, you can have what you want.
That's a double wide.
Okay, that's what I had, Jerry. You wanted to go into board games.
Yeah. Did you have her do her Bubba top 5? You did.
I did not.
Oh, that's disappointing. Well,
but it's very simple.
It's not. Do it now. Well, do it. No, it requires.
What was the? It does not, Jerry. What was the last game you've played?
The last game I played was Echoes the Cocktail.
Oh yeah, I saw that. And have you played On the Rocks?
No.
By 25th Century?
No,
that's also
I saw it at Gen Con. I didn't play it. It got sort of like the like walkthrough demo show off the game happened to Lawson while I was talking to someone else at the booth.
It's very nice looking.
Mm-hmm. It's got all those like marbles in it.
Mm-hmm. That's all I'm going to say. Echoes, I saw that y'all had just posted a video about that, I believe.
Yeah,
right?
We streamed it on the Watch It Play Twitch yesterday.
Okay, that would be the Bubba Top 5 is the last game you played, which would be that. The number 4, which would be one that she might require some preparation for, is you give us a board game either by box art or by synonym. And this has been the tremendous failure of this particular one because people start describing a board game by box art and we just never guess it.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to pick a game. I'm going to describe the box art to you, and then you are going to see if
we're going to see if we can guess it. Or if you want to make synonyms of the name of the game, we can try that one as well.
Okay. What's exactly the game that I want? Okay. It's like a dark reddish color. The whole box. In the middle is like a circle. And in the circle are 3 keys stacked on top of each other.
Castles of Burgundy.
Yup.
Oh, yeah. The new one.
The new edition, yes.
The new one.
Yeah. Which is another game I played recently for the very first time.
And your thoughts on that?
I liked it a lot, which I was not expecting.
I really enjoyed the original version of it, but the card game, Gabby bought the card game back in the day. There's a card game and a dice game of it. And the card game, to me, has a very similar feel. They did a very nice job capturing the difference in terms of it being quicker and more accessible. But I have not played the newest version. I like the beige. Yeah.
The card game has a solo. And to me, we played the card game first, actually.
No, we didn't.
And then we did.
No, we didn't.
And then we did. And then we played the board game, and we were like, you know what? The card game does the same thing, but we like it better. The card game, but they have a very similar feel. Number 3, your favorite movie.
Oh no, I can't pick my favorite movie.
This is usually the toughest one because everybody wants to do genres, and I'm like, I understand action for me, Fast and Furious. Comedy for me, Dumb and Dumber. But my favorite movie of all time is Gladiator.
Could you be any more basic?
Jerry, what's your favorite movie?
I'm here for Paula. I
was allowing her time to think. And
Paula's favorite movie is give me a second. What would Paula's favorite movie be? It's a classic. It's like a classic comedy of some sort, right?
Depends on how you define classic, but perhaps.
So it's not going to be anything like a Monty Python type thing.
No.
Although that would, for some reason, I'm not feeling that. It's going to be...
Comedy? We're doing comedy? Airplane.
Scott, do you want any hints? You want any more hints?
I do.
It's got Sandra Bullock in it.
The Miss Congeniality.
It's the guy, it's with Sandra Bullock and what's his face?
While you were sleeping.
It is While You Were Sleeping.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite. That's like my favorite rom-com. And I just love that movie. I also really like Center Stage. Is the first movie I tend to think of when I get asked my favorite movie. I feel bad saying it because it's a trash movie, but I love it.
Don't feel bad about trash movies.
It's just like so bad, but also so good, you know? Yeah.
Is Center Stage the one with like dancing?
Mm-hmm. They're ballerinas.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. I remember that
good.
movie.
Yeah.
My mother liked that
It's
movie.
terrible.
Yes.
The acting's bad because they're dancers. They got real dancers, so the dancing's amazing, but the acting's terrible. But I love it.
Jerry, what's your favorite movie? You know, I don't think you've said.
I've said that numerous times, and you keep forgetting.
It's
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The Johnny Depp version. I like seeing the little kids die horrific deaths. Blade Runner.
And you called mine cliche. Oh, can you be any more hipster than I love Blade Runner?
It's
the
not
greatest
hipster.
sci-fi movie ever. It is super hipster.
Lawson
Oh my
would agree
God.
with me.
He thinks it's pretty good, yeah. The cinematography, especially.
It's amazing.
Who did the cinematography on that
Who
one?
do you think? Roger Deakins did the newest one.
The newest one, but your favorite
And
is
it's
not the newest one.
beautiful.
Ripley Scott.
The newest movie is beautiful and also boring.
No,
Blade Runner 2049 put me to sleep. Thank
there were
you.
no cars in it, driving fast. And
If
no,
he had put Nas in his little flying car.
during Gladiator. I'm sorry.
Well, Paula, thanks for coming on. It's been a great show. It's been a pleasure to have you. They're making a part 2 of The Gladiator, which is quite puzzling because he's dead.
how's Russell Crowe
is
going to pull that off with his
What
dad
gonna
bod?
do?
Maybe someone else is gonna.
Maybe it's a Zack Snyder event where the hashtag the Snyder cut and he's a zombie now. He comes back.
Ooh, they take his spirit and they possess someone else with it, maybe.
The Maximus
Woman.
spirit.
84, yeah. Yeah, Gladiator 84 is what they
Yes. Okay, Paula. Of the top 5, we're down to number 2. A board game. Now, this is kind of a cliche one, but you've maybe thought about this. A board game you would like to see made into a movie.
I feel like the other day I thought of something for this and then the thought exited my brain
Exit.
and cannot, is not is not there. You know what? I'll talk about this. I don't know that it. Speaking of Blade Runner, I just played Chronicles of Crime 2400, and it has a very Blade Runner vibe to it. So I guess maybe it's kind of like Blade Runner again, but that could, anything narrative like that, but that could absolutely make a good movie, I think. But that's just kind of like Blade Runner. So I feel like it's a bad answer. But I really liked, this is just an excuse to talk about Chronicles of Crime 2400 because I've played the other Chronicles of Crime and I really liked 2400. Like, this is the one that I'm like, I think I'll play more of this one.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Did you not like the previous ones?
I like them.
Have you played Detective, the modern crime one?
Yes. I
really like that one because it seems like it emulates what real police work would be like.
Well,
Time management and boring.
that's the part that's time management boring. The time I don't understand why the day has to end at 4:00.
Because you're a cop, you got to get home to the kids. Because basically,
this
if you
is not enough time.
literally the track is if you keep working overtime, your wife divorces you. Like, that's how I feel like that's what it's supposed to be. It's like you can't keep working overtime. You have to show up and decide what are you going to do, and it takes you 3 hours to do something. So it's very that's very thematic to me. And plus,
Yes.
it doesn't give you any right answers. It's like you have to figure it out on your own. There is no cell phone QR code that you're clicking and saying, you've done good. Mm-hmm. But I've been interested in that version of the Chronicles of Crime. I did not like the original.
We did the original and the Stranger Things version, and they were just... We didn't feel the game. It was just like, take a picture here, take a picture there, take a picture here. But
this one, though, like, you have like cybernetic implants you can get along in the game, and if you activate them, they might show you like more things at the crime scene, or you can use them. Like, I used one to like disable a tracking device, which allowed a person, like, this person wouldn't talk to me. And then I realized if I use my cybernetic implant to disable the tracking device that's on them, they'll calm down and then they'll talk to me. Like, there was puzzle solving in that way where I actively used things the game had given me to interact with things, to like get things to interact with me in a way that has felt different from 1900. I've played 1900 and the regular Chronicles of Crime, and it felt different from that in a way that I personally found really engaging. And I also think the character art is really interesting, and just the story, like the crime itself, to me was more interesting because it was more like you're investigating a conspiracy as opposed to like, I don't know, someone who's just dead. So for my personal taste, I found it really engaging and interesting.
Number one is your favorite thing you're enjoying right now, and that can be anything. Physical activity, entertainment, food, anything.
You know what I've really gotten into over the pandemic? This is Matthew Jude's fault as well. We're just going to bring him back up again. K-pop. I have been introduced to K-pop and because of Matthew Jude, and I love it. I got really obsessed with this girl group called Twice. And I even like found they were created through like a reality TV show, and I found online the reality TV show with the English subtitles so I could watch it. And then I got from there really into BTS. And BTS is amazing.
Whoa. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. BTS. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. And so both of those. So I'm not like super into the other K-pop groups, but I've learned a lot about how K-pop works, and they go through these training programs and they live in dorms together, and it's bizarre and probably terrible for the people involved. But I've just gotten like really into the pop music, and the dancing is so good, and it's just like an escape from terribleness. Mm-hmm. I'm super into it right now. So I would say K-pop.
This looks awful, but at the same time, I can't. I've heard of it. I've not watched any type of K-pop, but I was doing the same thing when I was talking bad about, what's it, anime, and what's the other thing that's not anime?
Like manga?
Shoot. Yeah, all that stuff. I was making fun of that until somebody got me watching that Cowboy Bebop stuff. And
somebody. I appreciate this somebody.
Bebop. Yeah, it's so good.
Jerry never gives me any. I'm the one that told you about Cowboy Bebop.
Whatever. Jeez. I don't know what you know. You told me about the other one I haven't watched, the little kid show, the Avatar.
Avatar Last Airbender, yes.
Avatar The Last Airbender is one of the best television shows that has ever been made. Adult or kid, it is not a kid show. It is just it is so good. You will not regret watching it.
All right. Well,
and they're doing a live action of both Avatar Last Airbender and Cowboy Bebop.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All to be on Netflix.
On the Cowboy Bebop.
Really?
Doing visual effects for it. Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Very nice.
Oh, my God.
That's the one that really I'm excited about, because Cowboy Bebop does have that Blade Runner feel. It feels like they just kind of turned the hipster up to 11 a little bit, which I'm not a hipster, but I appreciate watching
You are
hipsters.
So a hipster.
That's why I like Matthew Jude. He is such a hipster.
Right. Yeah.
Don't
tell him that. Did you say that to his face?
No.
Good. But you're not wrong.
Yeah.
So, see, that's why I get jealous of like working on freaking Cowboy Bebop and I'm driving rocks from one place to another. Like, it's just, the life is so different over there.
But at least when you're done driving rocks, you get home and I bet you can like not think about the rocks.
I don't think about the rocks while I'm driving them.
See, there's a luxury in that.
He watches Cowboy Bebop while he's hauling the rocks.
I set my phone on my dash and I just listen to Cowboy Bebop as I'm driving down the road. But I drive 8 to 12 hours a day, so I'm just like, I do play Netflix things, or I'll just play them and drive, or I'll just listen to podcast after podcast after podcast. Along those lines, Ms. Deming, do you feel any pressure, like to be like you? I feel like you, especially in the last year, your brand, quote unquote, well, that's a term you may or may not like, but your brand has a kind of, it's on the rise. You're in a lot more places. Do you feel pressure to like be on all the time, or someone else coming up behind you, come shoot, do the fastest gun in the West type thing?
I don't feel pressure in terms of like someone new coming in and doing comedy. I'm not worried about that. I do feel pressure to like stay relevant, I think, to constantly be putting something out there, which isn't always great. Like, honestly, I'll probably take a little break at the start of next year. Like, I'm burned out, frankly. I'm burned out on making things. I'm just like...
This podcast in particular. Go ahead.
No.
She's like, it's been an hour, 45 minutes. We're good to go.
Coming up with creative ideas and figuring out how to execute them can take a lot of energy, and I really do need like breaks from it. And with the pandemic and being home all the time and working from home, it's been harder to take breaks because I'm working from home and I'm always home. So I'm always at work. So I really like fight against this idea that like it's 10 o'clock at night. I'm not asleep yet. I should still be working. And that's like bad. So I think probably at the start of the year next year, I'm going to take like a couple months, assuming everything goes well.
The world doesn't explode.
Right. I will be,
Armageddon may or may not come.
Right. I'll be doing some conventions at the start of the year. And so I'm like, I think it'll be good to like, be like, I'm going to take a couple months off of posting anything things get dicey. I'm going to do these conventions. I'm going to come back and then I'm going to make new videos. But I worry, like, if I take 3 months off of posting something on YouTube,
you're forgotten.
Yeah. Well, people still want to watch the video when I make it again. And it's hard to trust that they will. I think ultimately they will. The people who really liked it will. Not everyone probably will care because, yeah, people kind of move on. But you also can't really, if you chase that too much, you'll just run yourself into the ground. But it is stuff I think about. But I also know I have to, like we were talking earlier about like saying no to things. Like I have to do that sometimes to have room or the mental capacity, the emotional capacity to do any of the things that I'm doing well. And sometimes that means not doing something or taking some time off. But I do worry. Yeah, I do worry about, I guess, losing relevancy or people caring, or because you say like, oh, you're well known or whatever. And I'm well known to some people, but like in the vast scheme of YouTube, like the number of subscribers I have isn't that big. And like I was at Gen Con and there were people who recognized me at Gen Con, and that's really cool. But the vast majority of people there didn't. That, or if they did, they didn't say anything to me about it. So of all the people who play games, how many of them are really on YouTube watching things? So I don't even know where I'm going now. I guess it's just feeling like I don't know. I'm rambling about my own insignificance, I think, is actually what I'm doing. I'm basically being Matthew Jude.
That's what we This is, here's what we should do. We should have a roast of Matthew Jude. That's what you should start. You could have, because listen, so we get you, me, Gabi, we can just have our board game comedy roast. We invite a so-called media person on, and we just roast them. We could start with Matthew Jude, and then we just work our way.
Roasts are so lowbrow, Jerry. Come on.
Listen, we need to roast people, and I think that would work out. But they'd have to like sign a contractual agreement that they're all right with us going low and being vicious.
Yeah.
So we don't want to take up much more of your time, but quick question: is your favorite game still modern art?
It is. Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
I do. I felt like there was some judgment in that.
No judgment. It's in our top 10, both of our top 10s.
I love it.
I probably lean a little more towards high society just because of the. It's to me, it's like modern art, but just super streamlined. But not really.
See, I like role playing I make people like role play it with me.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, here at the New York Museum, we are putting up for auction we like describe the paintings. Like I make everyone get really into it. I turn it basically into D&D.
I get that.
So yeah.
How do you feel about Lords of Vegas?
I've never played Lords of Vegas.
Oh, you need to play Lords of Vegas. You need to try that one out. There is some. Is there no auction in that, Jerry? No, there's no auction.
Gambling. It's the gambling.
There's gambling, and there is negotiation. But no, I guess that's not an auction game. But anyway,
Lords of Waterdeep. I have no desire to ever play again.
No.
As I was listening to you on Sporadically Bored, just to like, okay, what is this and that?
Did I talk about that on that? I probably did.
Yes, you did. That was one of your overrateds. That and Terra Mystica. You're like,
get
overrated.
out of here with that nonsense.
We tried Gaia Project and we felt like, are we missing something? Like, what's the deal?
No, it's not great. Look, I don't normally say this because it hurts people's feelings, and I don't like getting emails from people after I've been on a podcast being like, why'd you hate my game? But you're not missing anything. It's not fun.
It's way it's way complicated for what you get out of it.
My favorite kind of hymns and haws, and we're supposedly doing our top 25 soon, and we've been saying that for the last 6 months, but Lords of Vegas it's coming to the top, even though the last time we played it was before the pandemic. And Yokohama, I just love those two. Yokohama based mostly on a board game arena, playing that a bunch on there. But
digital board games, that's a great way to I play so many digital board games. It's a great way to experience games that you wouldn't. Like, I've only played Red Cathedral on Tabletopia, and I love that game. I've never played it in real life, but it's great. It's a great game.
I like the board game. I like the board game arena stuff because it's like point and click. You don't have to like drag stuff and then push your arrow key and all that type of stuff. But
Gobby's fingers are too fat for that. The mouse, the dexterity. He's got.
Is the roast starting?
No, he's got -5.
It's always
dexterity.
on, Paula.
He's got the
it's always on.
Fingers. Got sausage fingers.
But if you don't already know how to play the game on Board Game Arena, sometimes it can be confusing because it automates too much for you sometimes. You're like, I don't know why that just happened. But it can be really nice because it does take care of all that admin. So
we're in so far, it's been Jerry's turn with Yanni from Mita Peloton on a game of Lost Ruins of Arnak. And it's been Jerry's turn for like 2 months now.
I'm not doing it.
He doesn't know what to do.
Yanni, no, I don't know how to play Arnak. I don't want to play Arnak.
But you accepted the request, so why would you accept it?
Because he shamed me. Yanni shamed me. I won't be shamed again. I don't want to leave the game, but I may make a move here soon. You never know. I might bust a move, but I need to learn the game first.
You might move it.
There's a simple video to watch. Ms. Deming, it's been a pleasure to have you on.
Mr. Board Game Snob 1, Mr. Board Game Snob 2.
That's how we're best known, 1 and 2. Jerry's number 2.
This went better than Matthew Jude's episode. I'm just saying.
I hope he doesn't listen to this. He's going to feel awful. Matthew Jude, if you're listening, you're my best friend and I love you.
I'm trying to get us canceled with all my hardcore, edgy comedy.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Well, I hope that I don't rile up anyone in your listener base from talking about, like, the thing that comes in front of my name, whatever that is, Ms.
What is the prefix?
Well, what is, that,
I
didn't want anyone to know what my marital status was. That's not fair to women. I hope my feminism doesn't turn any grognards away from your listener base.
I do like the fact that you use the term actor instead of actress because that's a pet peeve of mine. Because they're all actors. Like this whole, I don't know how I feel about that, but whenever there's a thing where they go,
you said you hate it.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, it's actress? Wait, aren't you an actor? Yeah, well, you're an actor, aren't you?
You're an actor, but the girl version. And so it's not as good.
Welcome, lady actor Paula Deming, to the podcast.
Well, we're never going to end because we're going to keep going on tangents here. But when I went to the Grand Canyon, I cracked up so much because the architect who designed a lot of the buildings in like the 30s that are there at the Grand Canyon was a woman whose name is escaping me right now. But our tour guide on one of these little tours of them kept saying, "Lady architect, Mary blah, blah, blah." And I was like, she's just a freaking architect. Lady architect. So, thank you for having me on.
We've enjoyed it.
Thanks for nerding out with me about like acting. That was a fun conversation.
I would nerd out on Doctor Who and all the stuff that you enjoy.
Talked about Doctor Who too.
Yes.
Didn't look.
Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite?
Internet.
Who's your favorite?
Oh, my
favorite
doctor is David Tennant.
Are you to Jody yet?
No, I'm Peter Capaldi, and I love Capaldi. So he's giving David Tennant a race for his money.
Peter Capaldi, I started off not liking his portrayal because he was just an angry old man.
He was just so grumpy. But
by the end of it, I'm in for Capaldi.
Yeah, I'm about halfway through series 9 right now. So.
Okay.
Claire is not my favorite companion in the world, and I made a lot of people on the internet mad about it.
Yeah, no. The best is Amy Pond, in my opinion.
I love Donna, and then Rory.
Oh, she was good too. Rory,
Amy's.
Oh, Rory.
Amy's Rory, yeah.
Amy, I'm Rory. Yeah.
And Amy's great too.
Donna made me cry. Her and Tien, that duo was, and Donna got on my nerves when she first come on. I was like, oh, she's annoying. But by the end of it, I was like, oh, I freaking love Donna.
Yeah, she'd call the doctor out on his mess, which he needs.
She did, and then she went and sold paper in the office. So
so sad.
Okay, we've got to end this show at some point.
Stop. So, thank you.
Would you? I'm going to say this is part 1 of a 10-part series of Ms. Deming coming on our show, just to seal you in.
Next time it'll just be to talk about Doctor Who. After that, we can discuss Star Trek.
We don't have to discuss. As you have seen, we barely discuss board games, and quite frankly, we do that just to have something to connect with at some point. But I'm much better off just discussing Doctor Who and other stuff.
Now that we got your emails, I will send you all my scripts for any skits that I come up with.
I promise I'll read them. I do get them sometimes emailed to me from people, just like blind submissions. And I'm like, I think legally I'm not supposed to open this.
It's all right. We could do this.
But thank you for answering my email, first of all.
Thank you for being patient on scheduling with me.
I completely, I'm surprised. It's like you're doing videos and streaming and podcasts. I'm like, just thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome for asking me.
And maybe you'll come back on again sometime?
Maybe I will. What do you say?
A little open-ended answer there. I appreciate that. Don't seal yourself in. You don't know.
Enrique might be back by now. He might be uncanceled.
Yeah. I guess that's up to you, Jerry.
Well, the hellacious rumors are still flying.
Until then, Jerry, shut up. Until then, I'm Gabi. That's been Jerry. And
I'm Paula.
Thanks for coming on, Paula. Good day.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Board Game Snobs. Stay classy.